Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Top Ends with Twins. If you're here listening to us for the first time, then welcome. I'm Luke. This is Paul. Paul, say hi to everybody.
How's everybody doing today?
We are here to talk to you all about the U.S. men's national team as we get ready to dive headfirst into Van Persie style into this 2026 World Cup. So, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to talk about what we see from this group of U.S. men's national team players from the perspective of who we think should be starting, who we think might be the most influential players in the squad, and perhaps playing the most important role in this World Cup. And then we're also going to close on giving you all an idea of where we think this team might end up throughout the course of the tournament, right? So, will they make it out of the group? Will they make it to the round of 32? Are they going to win the World Cup? We are going to tell you what we think. Uh, I hate to tell you ahead of time, I don't think they're going to win the World Cup, but maybe
He's
Paul
just a hater.
disagrees.
Luke's backing England to win this World Cup.
No, actually not. I think
Sure,
I would
sure.
like it. I would like it, but I'm not going to say they're going to win the World Cup. So, okay. At this point, though, I think we're going to start out with just some general discourse over where the U.S. men's national team is. So, for context, Paul, do you want to tell the listeners kind of about what's been going on the last couple of days, where we're at? We can kind of talk about their most recent match. I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
so we're about 2 weeks out from the World Cup here. The U.S. what 2 days ago? No, yesterday. Just had a friendly against Senegal, who, as we talked about this on the podcast, I think a couple months ago, they may have won AFCON, they may not have. It just depends on who you ask at this point.
I couldn't tell you.
But one of the more formidable teams, probably that's coming into the World Cup from like AFCON region, I'd say. So they beat them 3-2. It was kind of a back and forth game with the U.S. getting goal returns from it was Serginho Dest on a Christian Pulisic assist, Pulisic getting a goal on a Pepe assist, and then Balogun who scored in the second half. Which this was a heavily rotated team in the second half compared to the team that started. I think there was just some stuff that Pochettino was trying out, but overall, very good result for the U.S. They have another friendly against Germany coming up. That will also be a really good test for to kind of see where they're at as another benchmark before the World Cup. But the big thing there I think we should highlight is that Pochettino displayed another three back system. So it looks like he basically had them set up in a 3-4-3 that kind of changed a little bit within the game. Of course, as those setups always do. But it seems like he's probably going to go with that 3-4-3 formation, which for all of our non really, in the weeds football listeners here, that just means he's playing three center backs, two midfielders, and then two wing backs on either side of them, which really does complement what this US team does have at times. Um, Even though the formation I put together is not a 3-4-3. I'm
Well,
just anti 3-4-3.
I see. I really like the flexibility you get out of the 3-4-3
Mm-hmm.
and what that does for you in an international tournament. It allows you can morph that very easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, it could be a 4-4-2. In possession, it could turn into a 2-5-3. Well, that's yeah, 2-5-3.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of flexibility you can have, right? And the most important thing is that those wing backs, which
Death scored.
depends on who you're looking at, right? Those wing backs are going to be very important. And that's perhaps some of the stronger players that we do have in the squad.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk about that here in a little bit. We don't want to dive into that too much. But Paul, I wanted to ask you. So for this match, it looked like the US controlled the majority of the first half, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they were the far better side. And the question though there was Pochettino didn't seem like he was playing his starting 11 in my mind. It seemed like he kind of chose bits and pieces of, oh, I want Pulisic and Reina to play together to see what that looks like, right? Because I don't know if Gio's going to be starting, right? That's a big question mark for a lot of people. most notably because of the form. And as we're here in the middle of the podcast, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe
Yeah,
and
please.
let us know what you think about this. Put some comments
If
in
you
the
want to
chat. So,
support the baby Eagles,
yes,
or maybe actually we can't even really call them the baby Eagles anymore, really.
no, we're past the juvenile stage.
They're Eagles
We're
now.
into adolescence, and that's kind of the scary part of this.
Yeah, go
But
ahead, Luke. Sorry.
so speaking of the adolescent Eagles, that's kind of I like that.
The
Maybe
Adolescent Eagles.
podcast title.
We just workshop stuff
uh,
as we do it here.
we do, we do. Okay, so but what I was saying is, I feel like Pochettino was looking at this very strategically, where he knew he wasn't going to have his most important players, or even just potentially the players that are starting playing 90 minutes. So I think he intentionally grouped different players together. Like having McKinney and Ballo play together, I think was very intentional.
Hmm.
And he wanted to build that confidence. And then also, we see Pulisic and Serginho Dest, they will be playing on the same right side of the formation, with Dest being the right wing back, Pulisic most likely playing a right wing or supporting number 10 on the right side is what we would expect to see.
Hmm.
So having those two building chemistry, right? And Berhalter starting there. So I really think that it was very intentional by Pochettino. And I think it was smart to not just roll out your guaranteed starting 11 who you know are going to be starting against Paraguay to start out the season, the World Cup.
Yeah.
Um, so I liked it. I liked the way Pochettino approached that. Was there anything that really stood out to you watching that match ball?
Well, so my biggest concern with the three back system right now for the US is that what three center backs do you play? Which Pochettino in this game did play Alex Freeman, former Orlando City player, now at Villarreal in Spain. Very strong, very physical, pretty good on the ball with his feet. He did get himself into a couple situations against Senegal where he turned the ball over, a lot of moments of transition. If he can kind of, play within that position, I think that Pochettino playing Freeman, Richards, and even Tim Ream in the back, because if you play Tim Ream on the left side of those three center backs, it does cut out a little bit of the pace issue at this point. Like you saw it in a
It
moments of
does,
transition yesterday where it's still an issue.
but
But if you want to be a progressive US team, if he wants to play with the ball at all, like you need Tim Ream because the rest of your center backs can't offer that after
right.
Chris Richards.
Yeah. There's always the famous quote of Pep Guardiola saying that, whenever he wanted to sign Tenrim when he was at Fulham, he was just 10 years too old.
Yeah,
Right. And that just shows like Pep Guardiola,
that's also 4 years ago.
yeah, which is kind of crazy. We didn't think that Tim Ream was going to be in the conversation for this World Cup, but here we are. But
Thanks, US center back pool.
yeah, no kidding, no kidding. So, yeah, but I think that's a great question there, Paul. Right? Who are the starting center backs for this team? Um, and if you want, we can dive straight into it, right? Because in my mind, I feel like I have a very clear idea of how we should be set up and the way that I think it'll function whenever we're looking at it in
Yeah,
this way.
let's go
So
through your so Luke. This just to tell everybody, this is your ideal. What you're
This is
picking as your
my
starting 11,
this is my
not what you
ideal
think
starting eleven.
Pochettino's
This
going to
is
pick.
not what I think Pochettino will do, and I think there'll be some spots that I'll highlight that I will note are probably very suspect, but what I would prefer for him to do.
Okay, yeah, I'm really excited to hear your starting 11.
So I have Matt Freeze in goal. I'm sorry, Matt Turner. We tried our best. It's just not going to work out. It's not you, it's me.
Luke sees you as a
um,
friend.
I do, and we had a good run.
You seem like a great guy, though.
He did. Yeah.
Played for
So
Arsenal for a little bit.
yeah, he had a good run. He just didn't manage to line it up to get a Premier League title, unfortunately. So, okay, so I have Matt Freeze in goal. I'm gonna be honest. Do not know a ton about him, but out of the performances I have seen, I think he seems the most reliable out of what we have
Mhm.
currently. Right, the lowest likelihood for a calamitous mistake is the way I'm approaching this.
Yep.
Right. Um, my left, so I'm gonna go with a 3-4-3. And the 3-4-3, it's not gonna be it's more of a 3-4-2-1, right? With kind of two supporting tens underneath the number 9. So that'll help set the context here. So I have
I see where you're going with this.
do you?
Yeah.
Do you?
No, go ahead.
So I have Tim Ream as the left center back. right? Chris Richards is going to be the central center back in the middle of that pairing. And then I have Freeman playing the right center back
Yep.
as the wing back. And, I'm going with 3-4-3. I normally would not choose the shape, but to me, it just kind of makes the most sense. So,
And I just to highlight something too, Luke,
yeah.
I think that's really important is that if you're playing Freeman as that right-sided center back, right, and Dest is the wing back, those two can
Hmm.
interchange. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of flexibility. Obviously, you don't want Dest to be back there for too long, but
Hmm.
if the situation arises and due to tactical situations, that could be a really good feature for the US.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Completely agree with that. So as you can imagine, Dest is my right wing back. And then in the midfield, I have Weston McKennie and I have Tyler Adams as the two holding midfielders, right? Um, I do have that's my first major point of concern there is Weston McKennie. I don't know if that's his best role, right? I think once he has an increased level of defensive responsibilities, that's when I start to get really concerned. And then I worry about the pressure that's going to put on Tyler Adams, right? Let's say McKinney misses an assignment, or where he gets in really big trouble is he gets overly aggressive, right? And then that opens up a gap. And Tyler Adams would have to be the one to fill that gap. Let's say he picks up, let's say, okay, hypothetically, we go through the group, we're on 4 points as we're going into the final match of the group against Turkey.
Don't play Tyler Adams.
Well, it's not that, but I'm worried. Let's say, we have to win that match to win the group. And that's very important, as we'll talk about
That
later.
was one of my big points too, Luke.
Um, but let's say he picks up an early yellow in the 15th minute because McKinney, chases the ball too far up the pitch and then isn't able to recover. And Adams gets that 15-minute yellow. He's playing on eggshells the rest of the match. So I worry
And that's
about
not
this.
something Tyler Adams is not like
No, I get it. I get it. Like he's used to being playing, 60 minutes with one yellow already, right? I understand that. But that puts you in a tough position
yeah.
regardless, right? Just on face value. So I would have McKinney and Adams, but most likely I think Pochettino would start Berhalter there in that role. That's what I think.
I don't know,
We'll
man.
just see. It's a real shame that Johnny Cardosa got injured because that would have been his spot, and I would have been so happy to have those two play together.
I mean, it's not like the US doesn't have another six they could have brought to the World Cup with them in Tanner Tessman,
Yes, that is a good point.
who is a much better ball player and whatever,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So then as my left wing back, of course, it's going to be Anthony Robinson. We know he loves those sweeping runs up the left side of the pitch. The question is, do the crosses connect? And as we saw with Fulham at the end of the season, he took a penalty for them, which is kind of crazy. I would imagine he's going to make a move out of Fulham. That's probably why that happened.
One of the weirder Premier League goals of the season.
Yeah, it's
Just
really
because
strange.
he scores the goal and just turns around.
It was
Like
really
there's no
strange.
his
Yeah.
first goal for Fulham and he just doesn't react.
Yeah, that
Strange.
feels like a contract negotiation that hasn't gone the way that they want, is what my thought is. But
Yeah.
okay, so that is kind of the base and midfield structure of my team, right? In the attacking front, I have Gio Reyna playing 10 as kind of the left inner channel 10, and then Pulisic playing the right inner channel 10. And then up top, I have Balogun starting. So that is my starting 11. I think that Pochettino might go a slightly different direction, but I think this offers the flexibility to morph the shape, right? If you need to, in a very,
Mhm.
very quick manner, you can easily pivot to a 4-4-2 if you want to, right? You just drop Anthony Robinson down. He plays a left back instead of a left wing back, and Dest will play a kind of right wing role, right? And then you'd have Freeman shift over to the right back.
Yeah.
So it's one of those. I like the way it feels. I like the way the team is set up, and what I think is most important is I think this is maximizing our talent to be put in positions where they can succeed. That
Mhm.
is the entire point of how I set this up. Um, the two things I would most worry about, though, as I kind of highlighted, is Freeman is a spot where I'm a little concerned about. You know, I don't have an overwhelming amount of trust in him just because he doesn't have the minutes playing in these really difficult, intense matches that I would have liked to have him get. and then also worry about Weston McKennie playing more of a defensive midfield position. But
Yeah,
I think it's a pretty good setup, and I would love to see that starting 11, come June 12th, 13th, whichever day it starts for the US.
I think
So,
it's the 12th, but
yeah.
no, like I think that's a very solid team. For multiple reasons. Like you just talked about the tactical flexibility. This also is a US team too that I mean, they really struggle like traditionally in moments of like ending halves, of ending games, of like just kind of, really for lack of a better term, my brain's ending things, where I think they play good 30 good minutes and then the last 15 of a half is not great. And that's something too I think in the last World Cup qualifying that they really struggled with was they were kind of a team of halves where they would come out,
Yeah.
they'd have a great half, take the foot off the pedal, team would get back into it, and it would be a game when it's not supposed to be a game. And you can see in these moments, like against Senegal too, where they have a couple, like who was it? Freeman got caught off the ball one time, turned it over in transition.
I think that was Trusty, wasn't it?
I thought it was
Let
Freeman.
me look. Keep going though. Keep
I thought it
going.
was Freeman. And also, I mean, you have whenever you're playing center backs that can't play out with the ball, it's like, okay, we'll just hit it long, and maybe that's a reason why he started Pepe in this last
Right. Right.
because
Mhm.
Balogun is I'd say pretty good with his off the ball work rate and all that stuff, but you don't have like the long ball ability really with him. But yeah, no, I do think that team really. I think that would be a good starting 11 for the U.S. League. So I think that was a good
Mhm.
pick.
Yeah. Well, let's hear yours. Let's
Yeah,
go through it.
let's dive into my team. Let's see. Okay, so first off, I do want to say that we don't have Chris Richards at this World Cup. This U.S. team is I I have
Yeah, we're in
I
big
have zero
trouble.
hope. Like I
We're
have
in big
zero hope.
trouble. Yeah, agreed.
He's turned into an absolute pillar of this team. So in my team, I mean, we're playing a 4-2-3-1. So
Okay. All right.
pretty attacking, and that's
Oh
kind
god.
of
Oh god. I'm just begging, don't put Way on the left wing or right wing.
no way it's not this team.
Okay, good. All right. We
I
can go ahead.
think you're actually gonna like how this
All
team
right.
sets
Yeah,
up,
let's
Luke.
hear it.
So you have Reem as the left side center back, Richards is the right
Who's
side,
your left back?
Anthony Robinson.
Okay. All right.
And then Serginho Dest on the right side, Matt Freeze in goal, right? So that's the back five. In my midfield, I have Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie with Gio Reyna in front of them.
Okay, so Gia's playing the 10.
Gio's in the 10. Pulisic is on the left wing. Tillman's on the right wing. And Balogun's starting.
Okay. I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just offers kind of like what we were talking about with your team there. There's a lot of tactical flexibility here where, Tillman and Reyna can flip both sides and Balogun even can like invert a little bit with Pulisic. Those two do seem to have a good relationship together. I like watching them play together, and Reyna just he should be spamming those through balls to Balogun whenever they're playing through.
He should. But when you look into the numbers, his Geo's chance creation and expected assists, so how many assists he's expected to
Mhm.
create has really dropped off. And I think that's one of the more concerning things that I've seen from him. Right. The lack of minutes is something. I think he played around 800 minutes, perhaps. I can look it up whenever you're talking, but um I think though Gio is the best ball player out of this entire squad, right? He can create chances and make passes that no one else sees. So I think putting him in that 10 role is something that I would love to see Pochettino do. I don't know if he will though.
The difficult thing too is it's like where do all these pieces really fit together? Because one of the things you highlighted, Luke, talking about your team was how do Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie interplay together? And it just feels like one of those situations where Weston McKennie is, I think, best whenever you have him in a situation where he's kind of able to just find different spaces. He's able to kind of move around, kind of ghost a little bit.
Right.
And that just leaves Tyler Adams by himself. And with this current team that I've set up, like there's nobody else that's helping out Tyler Adams. It's basically him with if
But the good thing too is whenever you're set up in a four back, it's still kind of morphs into a three back, right? The majority of the time,
yeah,
right? So if Anthony Robinson pushes high, Desh should be dropping in, right? Or preferably if Robinson, if Desh pushes up, then Robinson is dropping in and helping fill in, some that gap where, the center backs can slide over. So We'll see what happens though. I would expect Pochettino to be very defensive in how he sets up with the nature of international tournaments.
Yeah, I think that both of our different lineups could be utilized in different matches. Like the US playing maybe your first game against Panama. That's a team they know pretty well. Like they've had a lot of different games against Panama over the past couple of years, and they know what they're gonna do. They know what the US is gonna do. So maybe you set up in a way where you can go at them more attacking wise, but then
Yeah.
when you're playing Turkey,
Mhm.
you go back to the three back situation where you have more solidity at the back.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have to be adaptable in these tournaments. That's simply what it is.
Yeah, you really do. You really do. And that's the good thing about Pochettino, right? Is he's not necessarily married to a specific system and he's going to work to accentuate the talent of the group, which will be very good for us in this World Cup because we felt like over the past 5 to, 5 really during the time that Berhalter was managing the team, it felt like he wasn't accentuating the talent. It felt like he was holding some players back at times. So with Pochettino there, I fully trust his decision making process. And even if I disagree with the starting 11 year olds out, I still do have the belief that he's making the right call with what he's been given. So, um, yeah, with that being said, I really do like the 4-2-3-1 with our system because Pulisic playing on the left wing is really great. We know he naturally can create a lot of chances from that position. He can either go to the end line, take a defender down there, or he can cut it in and bend it to the top corner. So I really like that choice. And Malik Tillman at the right wing. That's a good call. I like that. Um, we could potentially see him inverting in a little bit because I think
Hmm.
naturally he likes to play in those half spaces a little
I think
more.
that's more the idea. Yeah.
But then you have Dest overlapping, right? Playing more of that right wing where he bombs over.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we know Dest, once he gets in attacking positions, the eyes light up.
Yeah,
And
man.
most of the time, magic can happen. Doesn't always, but he is a ton of fun to watch with the ball.
I
So,
mean, I would recommend everybody if you didn't watch the US Senegal match, go back and watch at least the second goal the US or the first goal the US scored. Christian Pulisic beats his defender, um, plays a ball and just right across the six. And Dest is literally making your stereotypical number nine run straight through the middle of the box,
mhm.
beats I think it was who Senegal's left back, just bursts through, makes that's a nine run.
Yeah.
That is a
He
prime like
he has really his awareness in the box is really good. Um, I feel like sometimes what it is for Dest is he almost tries to do too much. That's
yeah.
what it feels like to me, where he, instead of making the simple pass to his center midfielder, he's like, I've got to do 3 step overs, take a touch to the right, pull it around my back leg, and then get it to the midfielder there, right?
Yeah.
Whenever he could just make the simple pass. So, but with that being said, I love watching him play. He's so much fun.
No, he is. He adds kind of that unpredictable and creative element that really helps this US team out, which we don't have to talk about this too much, Luke, but I do think it's a good thing to bring up kind of like club form of where some of these players are at. Like you see like Dest, Reyna, um, Pulisic, who are coming to this World Cup and they were not in great club form. They've been hurt, they've been injured, they haven't been playing. Um, Pulisic's been he scored 8 goals, which we'll talk about this a little later on, but he scored 8 goals starting the season and was leading Serie A essentially in goals and assists, and that completely dried up.
We should say though that there was a manager shift at Milan, and then that's kind of what led to him going out of form. Is what it felt like, right? Because it seemed like the manager might not have had the utmost belief in him, and then the minutes started to dwindle, and then of course the confidence starts to go. But we've seen time and time again that when Pulisic puts on the stars and stripes, he goes to another level, right?
Yeah.
We see it in spurts at his club, especially when he's able to stay healthy, get the minutes. He can build consistently off of something, but if we saw the Pulisic that played for the United States in a club form, he would be one of the top players in the world, right?
Yeah, and I mean, he was at those levels. I mean, earlier in the season, I mean, he was in conversations where it was like, "Hey, if he continues his output in Serie A and Milan win, It's like he could be in conversation for Serie A player of the season.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
then it comes to the thing that we always talk about is can he stay fit enough to be on the pitch?
yeah,
And the reason really why why the minutes started to dwindle is because he had an injury.
yeah,
And then that led to him not getting the minutes and kind of losing the trust of the manager. So, you know, I agree though. I think Pulisic is someone that's going to be very important for this team and will kind of go as he goes. But we wanted to do another section where we talked about who we think might be the most influential of this World Cup. I think Pulisic is widely seen as the most important player,
the most known,
the most
right?
known, maybe you could argue the most impactful, but we're going to say for this World Cup, right? Going into the 2026 World Cup, who are the three most impactful players? And I guess I will go first.
Go for it.
Um, Number one on my list, I think he's the most talented player in the squad if he can stay healthy and get the minutes. It's Gio Reyna. He, like I was
That could
mentioning
be a
earlier,
hot take according to some people, Luke.
it could be a hot take, and I will happily die on that hill. So, um, for me, I'm the type of person that I love to look at underlying numbers, right? And when you look at Geo's underlying numbers this season, there's not a lot to look at. So that's a problem number one right there, right? But I do think that there's a certain magic to the World Cup, right? Whenever you get put onto the biggest stage, arguably in any international football tournament, like without a doubt, the biggest international football tournament, the biggest stage for football in the world, right? You have the most eyes, the most notoriety, the most journalists are going to be like, it is the most important matches that you could arguably play in your entire career. And I think there are certain players that step up when they get to that point, and certain players that kind of crumble under that pressure. And I think Gio is one of those players who's going to step up in this World Cup. I think he just needs to be given the opportunity and be put in positions to succeed, and he will do that. And it could be one of the defining moments of his career because he's had a really difficult couple of years. We know that his stock was on the rise, right? When he was at Borussia Dortmund as a young 16, 17-year old playing with Holland,
Scoring goals
scoring
in
goals.
Champions League, scoring beautiful goals in Champions
Yeah,
League.
I mean, just some of the best goals you will see scored for a young player, right? And it looks so effortless is a big part of it too. At a time, people were saying that Gio was up there with Holland, right?
And
They
Jude
were seen as
Bellingham.
some of the youngest commodities in the domestic game. So I think that Gio will find a renewed sense of confidence if he's given the opportunity. So just begging Pochettino, give him that chance. And I know that he's going to reward him with, goals and assists or doing the job that he's asked to do. I think this could be a really good springboard for his career. And I really, I really hope that that's kind of where this goes. I know that
Too.
there's not a lot of numbers I can point towards. There's not a lot of factual information I can talk about because he played about 500 minutes this season.
Yeah.
He scored one goal for Gladbach. Yeah, for Glad. I was going to say the entire name, and I was like, I'm going to butcher this.
Yeah, don't. It's okay.
But for Gladbach, I mean, he had a difficult year, and he's had a couple of difficult years. But I think this is one of those points in time where you can really make a difference, and I think he's going to step up and take that chance. So he's number one on my list, and if he has a really great World Cup, you know, gets a couple of assists in the first game or across the group stage, let's say he gets 5 goal contributions, we're without a doubt winning the group. There's no doubt in my mind. Like
Yeah.
that, the best version of Gio, and if we get that, that will define our tournament, I think.
Yeah. I think that's a great point, Luke. And the biggest selling point to him being number one on your list, I would say, is everybody go look at that run he had at the Azteca back in World Cup qualifying, where
Mhm.
he literally displaced probably 6 defenders on the Mexican national team and ended up almost scoring one of the best goals you'll see. Couldn't get past the last defender, but just moments like that where we were talking about with Dest, like he just offers a different profile to what the ceiling of this US team can be. So look, I've
Yeah.
been a huge Geo fan for the longest time. It's been really difficult over the past couple years. The stock's gone pretty low, but as you know, I don't sell. I hold with diamond hands.
Diamond hands.
That's an old meme for me and Luke, but
It is, and, another important, final note on Gio is anytime he does play for the US, he always puts in good results, right?
mhm,
He's played 36 matches for the US, he scored 9 goals. So, that's a clip of getting a goal every 4th game,
mhm,
which is pretty good for an attacking midfielder, right? And I would expect hopefully that that trend continues of him being good with the U.S. playing for the U.S. So,
yeah.
so let's go over to you, Paul. Who do you have as number one on your list of three?
So I went with Captain America, Christian Pulisic. This is, I think, the way he goes, the U.S. goes. So he's made it pretty clear he really doesn't want to be the face of U.S. soccer. He doesn't want to be, which I mean, he kind of he has been pigeonholed into that. Which whatever he wants to do in that situation, I'm in fully support of. It's his career; he can do what he wants. But his mentality, whenever he steps on the field with the U.S., whenever it's there, you see certain games like the Panama. I think it was Panama. What 4 years ago in World Cup qualifying, where you just saw him out there and you're like, that dude's a motherfucker. Like he is out there trying to rip people's hearts out, and that Pulisic has to be there for all these games because if he's being progressive on the ball, he's attacking defenses, trying to get in behind, create problems. He's extremely difficult to deal with. Like he just is, and the U.S. needs that because they have to have that attacking threat. And I mean, he's coming into this World Cup where, like we talked about earlier, he scored 8 goals, had like 4 or 5 assists to start the season at Milan, and it just completely dried up.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably,
Yeah.
probably in the worst career he's been in while he's been playing, I would say, in his career. Because at Chelsea, there were spurts off and on, all that kind of stuff. But I just think the U.S. team's going to go based on what he does. And there's other players in the pool. Like, it's not all on him. I don't ever want anybody to think that we're saying that Christian Pulisic has to be a 10 out of 10 every match for the U.S. to be successful. It's not true. The U.S. isn't the same team they used to be, but he's shown up in huge moments for this U.S. team, especially in 2022. He scored the goal against Iran that got them into the group stage, went off the post against England, which would now be probably the most famous U.S. goal in history. Not in history. Probably won't ever top the Donovan moment, but
It would be up
that
there.
would be an iconic moment in U.S. history.
It would be in contention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then he also, almost scores a goal against Netherlands when he got put through. That if he finishes that, who knows how that game goes?
Yeah.
Who
I
knows in
agree.
the round of 16? But
Mhm.
yeah, I just think that he's somebody that he's going to determine how this U.S. team does. And kind of like Luke was saying about Gio, if he gets a couple goal contributions, I think if Pulisic is having an output where, even an assist or a goal 3 or 4 across the group stage, and this U.S. team is going to be in a good spot.
One of the things that I love about Pulisic, and I agree with all the points that you just said there, Paul, is you can just tell that he very emphatically cares about playing for
He
the
does.
US. Like that is it feels like that's the peak of his soccer world, right? Like
Hmm.
everything gravitates around being ready for the US men's national team, which as a US supporter and a fan of the team, you love to see that. He has that passion. And that's why I think I push back against the narrative of a lot of, the prominent voices in the USMNT media. They always talk about this team doesn't care or they don't fight hard enough or all these things that I think they point towards past teams that played a very specific style of football that was very regressive, very defensive, very build up big at the back and then hope you can counter and get a goal at an
Because they
end
didn't have the talent.
because they're outmatched. And I also do want to incorporate within that as well that the teams that the US is playing against in this tournament are extremely technical. They're very talented across the board. Like Turkey has some incredibly talented players.
Hmm.
Panama has some good starting players in their starting 11 that have moments of brilliance in them. And even Australia as well, right? They have one of the best goal scorers in the Premier League over the past couple of years in Chris Wood, right? So all of these teams are equally impressive in their own way. And I think us getting out of the group, while it looks like a weaker group, it is still an accomplishment, but you won't hear the other people in the US media say that, right? Just because of the internal biases that they have about, if they played on a team, they feel a certain way. And I don't agree with that at all. I think that it's revisionist, and seriously not acknowledging the level of talent and the difficulty of the game today.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Luke. And this is
Yeah,
something you see across all realms of media and football coverage, where there's this older generation that did things a certain way whenever they were playing, and this gets into like JJ Redick's comments about Bob Cousy playing plumbers. Like, it is a different game than it was before. And if you
it
took all
is.
these players, like, there's so many pundits I'm thinking of, but like if you took them and put them into football right now, obviously you can make the chicken and egg argument, but they're not going to be at the same technical level these players are. They're just not going to be. And I feel like there's just some bitterness associated with it, which is sad.
I also think the level of analysis that we see within these matches is very worrisome to me as well, right? Because it seems very surface level. I feel like very rarely does it even dive into analysis of simple formation and tactics. And that I think that is a big problem, right? Much less throwing up an XG figure. Like, oh my God, we can't even do that. Don't get me started on
Well,
expected
it's
figures and
also
how it's not
too, Luke,
acknowledged.
like, I do think that a lot of people that are like US soccer fans or even just fans of soccer that live in the US are so tired of how the sport's covered here. Like, you have certain brands that have people on screen literally just for clicks and for viewership, and because they say absolutely wild shit that doesn't make sense, but they get like more views and everything. That's not how you build soccer in a country. It's not how you build a cohesion and educate and teach people how to go about these things. And also, where's the positivity? It's just, I don't know, it's so tiresome to me.
Yeah, it can be very tedious at times, but I think we've got on our soapbox enough for this one. So
Yeah.
I will go into my second most important player that I see for this U.S. men's team for the World Cup. And that I'll go through it pretty quick, but I think Anthony Robinson is going to be extremely important for this team. Um, we saw, he's currently playing at Fulham in the Premier League. He had surgery on his knee back in December. Is expected to return quicker than that. We really
Yeah.
thought it was being gonna be a quick turnaround. He only played about 800 minutes or so this season for Fulham, and
She's
that's
been a workhorse for Fulham too the past like 3
he has
seasons.
been. So that's a little worrisome to me, right? Because not I'm not worried about him being able to play 90 minutes. I think that's gonna be fine. We might maybe some matches we get 75, 80 minutes out of him. We'll take that, right? That is still good. My concern is gonna be his sharpness, right? Like, how how is his first touch? Is he
He looked a
locked in
little off it
defensively?
yesterday.
Right, and that's kind of the concern, right? So, how sharp is he gonna be? And I think if we get the best version of him, that's, bombing up the left wing, playing in crosses that are received by his teammates, that's going to be very important for us. And but at the same time, I don't worry about him defensively at all. I think as long as his ball playing is all right, defensively, he's not going to have a problem matching up 1v1 versus pretty much anyone in the tournament. So,
Yeah.
minus like Mbappe or actually Njai is one of the really good ones to compare him to who we
It's
played in
very
Senegal.
tricky.
Njai is so good with the ball at his feet. My
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, that's my second pick. Paul, who is your second?
So number 2 on my list is Tyler Adams. I think
Mm,
that there's gonna be a lot asked of him in this World Cup, just based on who he's paired with, whether it's McKinney, whether it's Berhalter, whether it's, God forbid, Christian Roldan. I there's no way, right? There's no way.
oh, he won't start. I
Talk
doubt
me off the ledge.
he won't even. I don't think he'll even play.
Okay. Well, anyways, there's gonna be a lot asked of Tyler Adams in this World Cup, and we know he can deliver. Like, he's had great moments for the US, like scoring from 35 yards against Mexico. like
Yeah,
he has the ability to do things like that. He's playing for Bournemouth, who was honestly one of the best sides in Europe in the second half of the season.
they didn't lose. They went 16 matches unbeaten,
16 matches unbeaten.
and they played some of the best teams in Europe in that stretch.
And
They
he
played
was he
City.
was playing, probably some could argue, for one of the most underrated coaches in Europe. So having that day in and day out interaction with Iriola, I'm sure has paid dividends for him already. And he was starting like as soon as he got back.
Mhm.
He was healthy. I would say he was starting almost like every other match whenever he was
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
healthy, but he's going to be asked to do so many things for this US team and he plugs so many gaps. The big concern you have is that how much can his body take?
Yeah.
Because he
Right.
he has shown that he's injury prone and that's going to be a really really big problem if he goes down with something. You could argue that would probably be one of the more impactful injuries for this US team if he
Yeah.
can't stay
If
healthy.
Tyler Adams is not fit and able to play 95% of the minutes in this tournament, I'm sorry, just end it. Like the tournament's
I
over.
mean, the Cardoso
As far as
injury, that plays such a big factor too.
it does. It really does. But I think Tyler Adams, we knew was going to be the midfield linchpin for everything that's going to happen for the US. So if he were to go down with an injury, and knock on wood, he better not, because if he goes down, we're in some big trouble there. So but yeah, I completely agree. I think he'll be a very influential player for this team. And finally, speaking of injuries, my third and final player that I'll pick is Chris Richards. Um, he's going to be a pillar at the back for this team.
European champion.
European champion, although didn't appear in the final in the Europa Conference League final, which Crystal Palace just won. They ended up winning, like we just mentioned, but Chris Richards did not make an appearance because he ended up damaging two ligaments in the final Premier League match of the season for Crystal Palace. It does seem, based upon reporting, that he should be ready to go in order for the World Cup opener. He is very much so just day to day at this point, but we should expect for him to be playing. He's had a grueling season. He in the Premier League, he's had 33 matches he's appeared in. He started in 31, played around 2,800 minutes,
Yeah.
which that those are minutes that accumulate because the Premier League is a very physical, fast-paced league, and your body takes a beating, right? So, the final and last thing I'll mention about Chris Richards is he's very good on set pieces. He's a big body. He ended up accruing an XG of 2.38 with Crystal Palace in the Premier League. So that means that he was expected to score 2.38 goals over the course of those, 31 games that he started. Um, so just keep that in mind as we're watching. Chris Richards would be the person that we would most likely look at for a bullet header off of a Christian Pulisic corner. So
Mhm.
keep an
Maybe
eye
Weston
on
McKennie though.
maybe Weston McKennie. Both are very good in the air. So keep an eye on Chris Richards, and by God, he better play. He better start.
Man, it's gonna be tough if not.
Yeah. Who is your final player to watch, Paul?
Well, speaking of corners, we're going to
Oh,
Weston McKennie.
very nice.
I think that he is kind of one of the more unpredictable players in this US team, and he brings so much to the table. Like if you look at him on surface level, I would say that he's probably the most well-rounded footballer in this team.
I don't know
Just
about that,
well, so
but
just let me he's good defensively. He's good on set pieces in the air. He's good with the ball at his feet. He can finish. He can do all these things. Like I think he's technically extremely sound. He's very strong. He's good in the press. He can play right back. He played right back for Juventus this season. He plays midfield. You could even play him as a pseudo winger too.
I would argue though that he's good at those things, but I wouldn't say great. So I think there are some players that maybe aren't as diversified as him, but they're far better at certain things, which kind of tips the skills.
But
For me,
I'm saying well rounded.
I hear you.
Like
I
overall
hear you.
as just a footballer, like I think it's just he wears a lot of different hats, and this is the same player that Juventus every season, halfway through the year, they're like, "Oh, he's not coming back. He's not coming back." Consistently wins his spot to be in
Hmm.
one of the bigger clubs in Europe, and who had a really good season. I mean, he scored 8 goals and had 6 assists this year,
Yeah.
four goals in Champions League and 1 assist,
Yeah.
in the biggest competition in
Hmm.
the world for a Juventus team that obviously is not, where Juve was, 10, 15 years ago, all that stuff. But
Right. Right.
I mean, he's had some great moments in his career, and I really think that he does a lot in that midfield to make things kind of more fluid, especially in an attacking sense. It's just defensively, is he going to provide enough to be beside Tyler
Right.
Adams?
Yeah. No, I hear you there. I And kind of like I talked about earlier, that's my concern as well, right? Like
Mhm.
what
The
are we gonna
balance.
get out of him defensively, right? And if he can put in the really difficult miles, put in the work, and be there to help support Tyler Adams defensively, then I'm good with it. Like I think he's a good fit in there. Adams and McKinney do have chemistry. Like they've played
They've known
together
each
for a
other since
very
they were
long
like
time,
10, right?
right? So like there is that built-in connection that they have together that I really like. So I think he's a great pick, and he's a great person to identify as a difference maker for this team.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he provides a lot of that grit and,
he definitely does. Yeah,
mentality that this US team needs. But
yeah.
Luke, I think it's time. Let's hear what you think this US team is going to do in the 2026 World Cup.
So I kind of just wanted to also look at this from the perspective of what what is being predicted for this team as
Yeah.
well, right? Let's set the expectations for the listeners out there. So according to Opta, which is the major sport, soccer analysis organization out there, right? They ingest massive amounts of data, and then they also export out a lot of
It's worth a
predictions.
lot of money.
It's one of the probably the most profitable football organizations out there, right? Because of the data that they pull in, but also how technically detailed it ends up being whenever it gets out. So one of the things they specialize in is predicting outcomes, right? According to Opta, to win the group, the U.S. Sorry, well, wrong slide. So the model gives the U.S. a 60% chance to finish top two in their group, which is good, right? You finish top two, you're moving on outside of the group stage. That's good. But as we get closer to it, right? So according to Opta, to outright just win their group in Group D, the U.S. has a 34% chance to do that, which not bad. But the numbers get exponentially worse as we go forwards.
Oh, wait,
So
what?
when we look at to reach the round, actually this gets better. This gets far better. To reach the round of 32, the US currently has a 43% chance to do that, which is good. Like we'll take
Almost
that, right?
50-50. Yeah.
Um, but that's when it starts to get really tricky. So to reach the quarterfinals, so that would be the round of 8.
Mhm.
There's about a 19% chance of that happening, according to Opta.
I mean, that's
That's pretty good.
it's not horrible.
It gets a bit darker though whenever we look at,
Oh, I'm sure.
let's say we're going to win the World Cup, right? Woohoo. Let's do
Let's go all the way.
it. We're hosting. Why not, right? There's about a 1% chance of that happening, according to Opta.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and across betting markets as well. If you were betting for the US to win the World Cup, it's about 5,500 to 6,000 to 1 odds on that. So it's plus 5,500. I'm really not great with betting odds, so I'm sure you all out there might be better at this,
Yeah, we're gonna need to call some experts, but
I'm not sure.
DraftKings, we're tired of your emails. We don't FanDuel. We don't wanna do it. We're not selling out,
We're
so
anti-betting.
yeah, we're not about that.
Yeah. Okay, so this gets into what is a very, very important point that might be one of the most important points of this entire podcast. It is so inherently important that we win our group.
Yes, 100% agree.
That is setting us on a path for success, right? Because if we win our group, that means we're going to be playing a team that placed third in their group.
Mhm.
So we could potentially see teams like Switzerland, Ecuador, Ivory Coast,
Sweden.
Sweden, Norway is mentioned. I'd be kind of scared of playing Norway. I'm going to be honest. Holland against our center backs, not good. That is a terrifying thought.
Don't you mean, El Captain Martin Odegaard? You'd be worried about?
Potentially. But I think if we play Norway, we should play 5 center backs. That would be my idea.
Or no center backs?
That's an idea. That's an idea.
Just steer into the skid.
That's how we break the World Cup record for goals conceded. I fear. Okay, but if we finish second, we end up coming in runner up in our group, right? Um, that means we're probably going to play Egypt or Iran in the first round of 32,
which isn't bad.
which isn't
But then you
horrible,
look at the next game.
but that means Belgium comes next,
I'm fine with Belgium.
which is still good, right? Like yeah, we would take that,
I mean,
right?
Doku running Serginho Dest though is
Mhm.
rather terrifying, but yeah, whatever.
So
The
here's the
US did
thing.
just play Belgium though. Sorry, that's good. Go ahead, Luke.
So right. So we win the group, right? Then we have a much easier matchup in the round of 32, and then we would play Belgium, right? In the round of 16. So that is far preferable to the next outcome, which would be we would play as the Group D runner up. We would then go and play um potentially, the round of 32 might be somewhat easy, right? We'd probably be playing a team that comes second in their group, maybe third. Just kind of depends on how, the points fall out. But that would put us on a collision course with Spain in the round of 16. And we do not want that. That is worst
That's a
case scenario.
yeah, that's a tough one.
Um, and, you know, if we get to the point of where we come third in the group and still manage to move on, we haven't cussed this entire podcast, but we are fucked
I cussed earlier.
because we are playing Portugal or
No, give
um
me Portugal. Give me. I want Portugal.
okay. No, you don't.
I I I mean, would you prefer Portugal or Spain?
I mean, I'd rather play Portugal over Spain, but I'd rather not
Okay,
play either
of
one
all
of
the big
them.
teams in the tournament, like France, give me Portugal. England, give me Portugal. If we're looking at
Germany,
Germany, give me Portugal.
yeah, I agree.
Like if you're looking at,
Brazil, I'd rather play Portugal.
I don't know, this Brazil team, I feel like is just a little strange.
If we played this Brazil team, they'd manage to score like 6 or 7. That just feels like what would happen.
Maybe.
Rafinha goes for a hat trick. Yeah.
I do have to apologize to the podcast though. There's been moments today where I've been saying Panama and I meant to say Paraguay the whole time. So
See, you said
um,
it, and then you convinced me we were playing Panama, but I
we're
said Paraguay first.
we're gonna retcon that whole thing and just we're gonna act like we said Panama for this pod. Okay.
Our group is Paraguay,
No, Paraguay. I
Australia.
said Panama again. God damn it.
Paul's not allowed to talk
Uh,
anymore, so it's Paraguay, Australia, and Turkey or Turkey, I believe is how they pronounce it now. So
yeah. Okay. Well, so like I think that was great getting the odds, getting an idea of, what's kind of realistic from an actual standpoint what this US team can do in this World Cup. But if you had to predict, what do you think? How far do you think they're going to get?
I, as of now, and Paul and I have been talking about this for the last couple months, off and on. I've been very pessimistic about this team
Oh, yeah.
based upon the form, the way that I've also just perceived these players lately. I just haven't had the utmost belief and faith in them. But that's turning a corner. And I feel like as we get closer to the World Cup, I'm building more faith in them, more confidence. I think what most likely happens is we go out, we win the group, right? I think
I
there's a
hope so.
factor here that we're not really talking about that much is playing on US soil should make a big difference.
It should.
Um,
It should.
like think about a lot of these players. Well, not a lot. Some of them grew up playing here in the U.S. and they're used to the shitty pitches that we're going to be playing on. And
Hmm.
a lot of the players who let's say
Used to the
have played
weather.
in Europe and everything, that's going to be a big factor. I think so. I think we have a little bit of an advantage. While it might not be fair, we still have one, and I think we win our group. I think we get through that round of 32 match, the round of 16. And if we get to the round of 16, I'll take it. Like I'm so happy. That's awesome. And I would consider that a huge, huge victory. Round of 16, let's say we're playing Belgium. I think we stand a real chance, right? That one would be a toss up though, because Belgium has players that have moments in them that would scare me. If we're building up to that match, we're an hour out, I'm going to be nervous as hell. I'm going to be scared for that match
Yeah.
while still believing in our team, but also knowing what Belgium can do and what they can produce in moments. So I think the round of 16 would be where I would be really happy if we made it to the quarterfinals, the round of 8. I would be ecstatic, and it's just icing on the cake at that point. If we were to make it to the round of 8, we're playing the likes of Portugal or like we talked about, Brazil, England, France. Against those teams, it's gonna take a lot for us to have a chance of winning. And I'm just gonna be very honest about it, right? Those other teams are far more talented than us, but if we've gotten to that far in the tournament, then we have the possibility of, surprising some teams. So I would say the round of 8 would be where it would ultimately end if we can get to the round of 6. If we get to the round of 16 by winning our group, I think we make it to the round of 8, but that's where it
Yep.
ends.
I
So
think
that's my prediction.
I think I'm basically in line with you there, Luke. I do think we're gonna struggle to win this group, though.
Okay.
I think it all hinges on the first game. I think it's always so important in the World Cup.
Panama.
Fucking Panama, man. But getting 3 points against Paraguay, you set yourself up for, you put more pressure on the rest of the group from there where, if we get 3 points against Australia and maybe Turkey drops points at some point to one of those 2 teams, you're already home. You're already good for the last game. And that's so important in these World Cup situations because, maybe you
Mhm.
can rotate a little more. Maybe you can get other people minutes to give them chances for the knockout stages. But I do think the round of 32, if they win the group, you set yourself up for success at a higher level there. And then I do think that this US team does have the talent and ability where if they're not playing one of these like megaliths of national teams like France, like
Spain,
Spain
Germany.
or Germany, I think you could see that they could surprise a lot of people in this World Cup. And that's solely due to the factors that we talked about. I mean, they have players that play in the biggest stages, the biggest moments.
We didn't even mention Argentina.
Yeah, Argentina, which who actually are I think they're like the 4th odds on favorite. They're not like
Yeah,
favored to
that's
win this tournament.
yeah,
They've just
yeah.
aged a little bit. Messi isn't. But I mean, I would prefer to see like a team like Portugal, anybody else like Argentina is scary in this tournament.
Without a doubt.
I'd prefer Brazil
Yeah,
over Argentina.
I would too.
No,
Yeah, I would
no,
too.
no, no doubt there at
I feel
all.
like
But
this Brazil, very talented, lots of very good player. I don't know how they. I feel like they don't play together well. Argentina, I feel like plays together very well, and
yeah,
they understand how to put Messi in positions to succeed. That's entirely what their system's designed on.
hmm,
And we know Messi can still have those moments
yeah,
of brilliance. So
he for sure does. But
I would be scared by Argentina.
I think something that also we haven't talked about as much on this podcast, Luke, is that the U.S. does have one of the best club world coaches or managers coaching them right now. Like Pochettino is an elite level manager, and it has been a little rocky with the US. I think there's been a couple of things where people are like, seriously, dude, like you don't seem like you're that invested or all those things. He is built for the next month. Like that's why he's here. He's here to make decisions in game. He's here to select teams that can go out there and like really get at other teams. And this is the same guy that took Spurs to a Champions League final.
Yeah,
Like he can make in-game adjustments, which was the biggest thing in 2022 when we were playing the Netherlands, and they set up in a certain way, and we just couldn't figure them out at all. I
it's
think this US
crazy.
team should be able to.
It is wild when you have an opposing manager talk about how tactically inflexible you are after the match.
Yeah.
That that is something that will always blow my mind that Coleman would say that about Berhalter
Well, he's also kind
and
of just
say
a dick anyways too.
he is, but at the same time, it's just a crazy statement to say we knew they wouldn't make changes and we knew we could take advantage of, certain positions on the pitch. So
Yeah.
but with Pochettino, we don't have that. We have someone who is adaptable. He's very intelligent about how he sets his team up, but he also will be teaching these players on,
Mhm.
the proper way he wants them to play. And he has a play style that he wants, right? And certain principles that will guide them. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
you said it earlier a little bit too, Luke, that the US playing a home World Cup should not go under the radar, and I don't really think it is. But there's always those rogue times where, like, a certain team catches fire in the World Cup and things just keep rolling and rolling and it snowballs and you
Mhm.
look up and you're in a semifinal. I
Yeah.
mean, look at Morocco a
Yeah.
couple years ago. Look at Russia when they hosted the World Cup. I can tell you for a fact this US team is better than that Russia team that made it to what a semifinal of the World Cup.
Yeah.
Stuff just happens. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm being cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. No, I like that. And I've kind of gotten to that point as well where I'm excited to watch our team play. Very, very optimistic that we could make a deep run in the tournament. At the same time, though, if that first match against Panama, scratch that, Paraguay, the first match against Paraguay does not go our way, then I think we're in a very,
Danger.
very, very dangerous predicament. So, it's a cliche that you hear everywhere, but the first match in, a group stage tournament, it determines so much, and
Mm.
really puts you on the position to either succeed or crash out of a tournament that you're hosting in your own country. So let's hope that it puts us on the position to succeed.
Yeah, and I think we just also need to say too, Luke, that we are a little bit selfish and biased in this situation because we want to see football grow in the US. We want to see these things where, I mean, the effect of the US getting to like a semifinal in this World Cup would have impacts for the next 10, 15 years of football in this country,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the carry on effects of like, maybe it causes a kid to pick up a football that never would have. And then who knows? Maybe that's the next Christian Pulisic. Maybe it's the next Kevon Sullivan. Who knows with these things? You,
Yeah.
you don't know the domino effects, but also just the sport growing in general is only going to make good things happen.
Yeah. There's an inherent argument that needs to be made that the entire hierarchy for playing soccer's, football as the rest of the world calls it, that structure does need to change, right? It needs to become
Hmm.
more skills based. There needs to be more of an incubation of talent. I think we've progressed a really long way. But the argument that our best athletes aren't playing soccer is,
Don't
I
get
think
me
it's
fucking
it's
started.
naive, and I think it's very sports anthropogenic from a lot of, that kind of merging some terms there. But a lot of people, like basketball, football players say this, and it just feels very arrogant to me because I think we do have some really talented, very impressive players. And, you don't see a 6'10" guy with a 7'5" wingspan playing football, honestly, because that
Well,
doesn't
Tomato
cater.
though.
That just doesn't cater to
Yeah,
playing
Wimby
football.
could never.
Right. He's got a good touch, but he's in the
He
right
wouldn't.
sport for
He's in the
him.
right sport, but
Yeah, okay, all right. I won't dive into that too much, but Paul, any final thoughts for the listeners out there before we call it a close for this podcast?
um, I think my big thing is to just like if you're a US fan watching this, if you're somewhere outside the United States and you want to talk about maybe your national team, that kind of thing, let us know. But just talking to the American fans that are watching this, enjoyed this moment because I mean, who knows next time. I know the last World Cup that was here was in 1994. That was what, 22 years ago. So just remember this isn't something that is promised that it'll ever happen again. And I know that there's a lot of things we've talked about in the last podcast that are kind of associated with this World Cup, but enjoy it as much as you can because these World Cups only come around every 4 years, and to have one in our country really is special. And it sucks what's really happening, kind of in the background of some things. But I'm excited now. Like honestly, kind of not to curse again, but fuck really whatever else is happening, and to see the best players in the world coming together and on this stage, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting. There's so many games over the next month that as a football fan, you have to love it. You just do.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's going to be a very exciting time for all of us. So, like Paul said, the best thing we can do is sit down, enjoy it with the people that care about it as well, right? Like
Hmm.
that makes taking in these experiences 10 times better. We can share it with other people. So, and if you don't have that community, always feel free to reach out to us as well. We're always there
Absolutely.
to talk about the matches, break things down, and really just kind of have a community where you can talk about that if you don't have that currently. So to continue to build that community, subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this podcast. It's been a lot of fun to do this with you, Paul. But we're gonna get out of here. Um, I will say, best of luck to the Adolescent Eagles. They have done a great
Playing
job,
Panama.
and good luck, guys. Thanks for joining, everyone. It's been a lot of fun. This is Top Ends with Twins, and we will be back with one more episode before the World Cup gets out. So be looking out for that. But thank you all.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.